ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the savage cry of class warfare, or at least the quote. As the House of Representatives flailed away last night at the various budget proposals, that was a line that the Republican leader in the House, Bob Michel, used to attack the Democrats. The Democratic majority then went on to pass a budget plan which shifted all of these new taxes that all politicians are scared silly about on to the wealthy. Today, the Republican White House is fighting back. Here's our White House correspondent, Britt Hume.
At the White House today, budget strategy operated on two levels. The first, a concerted public attempt to get the administration off the defensive on taxes. Press Secretary Fitzwater was calling the House version of the budget passed last night the Rostenkowski tax bill, and saying the president would veto such a measure because it raises taxes on the middle class. Fitzwater was referring to a provision in the House budget that could affect a lot of middle-income taxpayers. The elimination for 1 year of protection against so-called bracket creep, which means being taxed at a higher rate when your income goes up solely because of inflation. Chief of Staff Sununu was but one member of the Bush High Command the White House sent out today to make its case. He pounded that tax theme.
Once they start playing with tax rates at one end, they can't stop. There's almost an addiction that forces them to move to raise taxes, increase income taxes on everybody. And that's what happened.
Would you not regard the Democrats having put that into the package as about the nicest thing that's happened to you all in about 10 days?
What's your next question?
Sununu also indicated that in the midst of this partisan skirmish with the Democrats on one level over taxes, on another level, the president is still cooperating with top Democrats to produce a budget similar to the compromise plan rejected by the House 2 weeks ago.
And we have seen a general faithfulness to that. Senator Mitchell's been very faithful to that. Senator Benson's been faithful to that.
Part of Mr. Bush's political problem is that he, too, has been faithful, hoping that bipartisan work in private will prevail despite a bitterly partisan disagreement in public. It hasn't worked yet, but it's not over yet either. Britt Hume, ABC News, the White House.
On Capitol Hill today, the action shifted to the Senate, which is debating its own budget plan, very different from the House version, but still loaded with political dynamite. Here's ABC's Jim Wooten.
In the Senate today was the same old song, second verse, how to cut the deficit without political pain. Idaho Republican Sims argued against $43 billion in new gas taxes in a bipartisan Senate plan. But eliminating that revenue, said Democratic leader Mitchell, would ruin the entire package. He was clearly disgusted by the Sims amendment.
If it's difficult, we can't do it. If it's unpleasant, we can't do it. If it's unpopular, we can't do it. The one thing we can do, the one thing we have done, the one thing we surely will do is talk.
And Minority Leader Dole was equally frustrated by fellow Republican Sims.
This will be the moment of truth on whether or not we want deficit reduction.
Without the gas tax, said Dole, we might as well fold our tents. But Sims wasn't the only Republican opposing the leadership's compromise package. There was Roth of Delaware as well.
We cannot tax America into prosperity. It hasn't worked in the past, and it will not work now.
Maybe New York Republican D'Amato best stated the congressional quandary.
You know what? We've lost the capacity to government because we're so worried about getting reelected that we've got to give everything to everybody.
They'll be working into the wee hours in the Senate tonight, trying to wrap up their own package, then trying to hammer out a compromise with the House, and then sending it along to the president for his signature by Friday midnight, or the government shuts down once again. Meeting that deadline is becoming a genuine long shot. Jim Wooten, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
The White House did say today that if a no-budget agreement is reached by that Friday midnight deadline to which Jim Wooten refers, President Bush would agree to sign a so-called continuing resolution to keep the government operating if an overall budget agreement appears to be near and the resolution itself contains significant budget cuts. In a moment, the other news, what happens next in the Gulf and whether Congress is going to have any say about it. On the American agenda tonight, learning by doing and homeless earthquake victims in California, a government agency looking for a place to live but not doing the job people want.
This is World News Tonight with